Welcome back to the channel. To get us started, my name's Bo, and this is Myth Mountain Outdoors. If you haven't watched before, stay tuned because we do all sorts of stuff. Everything from mountain biking, snowmobiling, horn hunting, archery hunting, rifle hunting, you name it. We try and do it. We're into everything outdoors. Today, I'm pretty excited for because I will finally be mounting a scope on my unboxed Christensen Arms Mesa. Pretty excited to open this up. Obviously haven't gotten to play with it or really shoot it yet. And the scope I got is the Vortex Razor LHT. I got the 4.5 to 22 by 50. I'm really excited to stick this on there. I think this is going to be a good lightweight hunting setup. Easy to pack rifle, you can still shoot long range. Caliber is a 6.5 PRC. I had ordered it right before the 7 PRC came out, which I probably would have went with a 7 if I would have known, but that'll just give me an excuse to have both. I think the 6.5 PRC is a great caliber. I just normally like to have a little bit heavier of a bullet, which is where the 7 would come into play. So yeah, let's get started. All right, inside the box here, we have this beautiful gun. Wow. I really enjoy the colors scheme that I imported. I got the burnt bronze with the green, tan, and black living stock. This thing, it's a pretty looking gun. We'll have to see how it shoots. We'll have to see how it shoots, that's for sure. But I'm very excited for this gun. And then the bolt comes in this nice little package here, all wrapped up. So they did a good job with packaging, nothing too crazy. It's nice and simple, nice and streamlined. I like it. Now let's get into about this rifle. Like I said, it's chambered in 6.5 PRC, which is a short action cartridge. Everything snaps in there really well. On this particular gun, the bedding looks like it was done pretty well. There's no way to know until we actually go shoot it. So you hear mixed things about these guns. Sometimes people rave about them. Sometimes you hear all sorts of stuff really. But we'll see. We'll have to go shoot it. I'll have to make sure and do a video on that. That's not going to happen today. That'll be for a different day. But we'll go shoot it and I'll show you my groups. I'm eventually going to build a load for it. But for now, I'm going to be shooting. Let me actually grab them. The Hornady. For now, I'm going to be shooting the Hornady ELDX 143 grain, the Precision Hunter cartridge. It's a good bullet. I do like to reload though, so once I shoot through these, I'll definitely get a load built up. Enough of that. Let's take the overall look at this gun. Like I said, the finish looks excellent on it. The finish on the carbon fiber stock looks amazing. It's very lightweight. It features a TriggerTech trigger, which let's test that. Feels very crisp, very nice. I got the color matching scope base on there, which I think just kind of pulls it all together. I have a multi-directional muzzle brake. I did well with that. The only flaw I see on this particular gun, which it might be hard to see on camera, but the bolt rubs into the finish a little bit right there. So Christensen Arms, watch your tolerances a little bit. It's not going to affect how the gun shoots. It's just a minor little ding, which I'm sure with me behind this gun, it's going to get a lot more dings being roughed up in the mountains. So I'm not too worried about that. All right, pulling this out of the box as well. Vortex LHT. If you want, you can go to the website they have here with a lot of their scopes and get a custom ballistic strip. I'm not going to do that. I like to run off of the standard minute of angle, just because then you can make charts for multiple elevations, multiple temperatures and whatnot. If you don't understand what that means, watch some videos on reloading. Not reloading, but long range shooting. It's a lot to go over in one in one go, but then the term MOA and charts will make a lot more sense. Pull the scope out. There she is. It's an illuminated reticle, and it's very lightweight as well. So altogether, this rifle should be a very lightweight hunting rifle. I don't have a scale where I'd weigh it before and after. We'll just have to go without it for now. If I do another review on this gun after I've shot it, maybe we'll weigh it. There's the zero stop. That's to set your zero on the gun, so if you're turning it to shoot further out, you can just get back to zero real quick if you need to. So I'll be definitely putting that in there as well. And that's about it, other than it does come with this. That's a kind of a sunshade. I'm gonna go without it. I'm gonna try and keep this little rifle nice and lightweight today. The rings I got for it, I just got the Vortex branded rings. It's just their Pro Series. It's not the PMR rings, but I'm okay with that. I've used these on other guns in the past and have had great luck with them, especially for the price of the ring. And then I got a Vortex low profile bubble level. That's very important, especially if you're shooting long distances. Now you're probably wondering how I'm gonna mount a scope in here. I don't have a table, I don't have a gun stand. Well, I can use my tools to multitask. Funny enough, this is a bike stand for working on your bike, but I've learned if you turn this baby like that, it clamps a gun in there perfectly. So this is what I'll be using to hold my gun while I mount the scope. Things you will need to mount a scope. You will need a good torque wrench, the proper bits to fit your scope rings, and a good level kit. You'll see where all this comes into play, but those are your basics. Of course, you also need everything you need to mount your scope. I work in a gun shop where we mount scopes for people, and all the time I get people that come in and want a scope mounted and they don't have any kind of base, and it's a old gun or a rare gun, and there's no way to put scope rings on it. You got to make sure, you know, do your research, get online, whatever you have to do. Make sure you have that pick rail or weaver rail on there. Make sure you have the equipment you need to get your scope mounted. Okay, first thing you're gonna do, you're gonna make sure the gun is perfectly level. I like to try and get it as level as I can back and forth, but you're side to side. It needs to be perfectly level. Get it as perfect as you can get it with your bubble level. Make sure your bubble level's right as well. If you look closely, there's little adjustments on each side of this bubble level. It comes straight out of the box, but make sure those don't get adjusted. Always double check it with another level. Make sure it is level. Once it is level, it will then proceed to attach this on the barrel, and it will look something like this. Okay, once you get that thing on the end of the barrel, it's kind of out of frame right now, but it's on there. Here's another shot of it. You want to make sure it is perfectly level. Like looking down it right now, I can see it's out a little bit. It has a fine tuning knob on it, so you can tune that really to get it perfect. You want it to match this bubble. There we go. You want to match this bubble perfectly. Once you get that on there, and that is good. Still not quite right. It's very sensitive. Once you get that on there, that's good. You can then take this bubble level off. You will then proceed to put on your scope rings. I'm going to save you the hassle of watching me untighten all the screws. But I will say, if you've done this enough, you probably already know how far to put these on. Like I know I'm probably going to need to be in this back slot and second slot there is where I normally start for my rifles. It's going to be different on each rifle. It's going to be different on each scope. Just for reasons, every gun's different, every scope's different. So do take note on that if you're ever mounting your own scope. Just adjust these to where they're not touching either bell, they're not touching your center where your turret is. They're just nice and even on the scope tubing. If you get that, you're gonna be just fine. There is an important step with doing this you do not want to miss. There's actually a couple of important steps, right? You do want to make sure you get your torque wrench set right. So if you look, some rings have instruction manuals, others just say it on them. These say 30 inch-pounds. So I'll want to torque that to 30 inch-pounds. Every ring's going to be different. Same with mounting the scope on the scope tube. Some scopes and rings recommend more torque than others. You don't want to over torque it. It can mess with little things inside the scope. Your scope won't work properly. So the step you don't want to miss is that you want to make sure this is pushed forward. If you don't push that forward, the recoil of your gun will knock it loose, which you don't want that. That'll make your gun inaccurate, especially out in the field and in the mountains when you won't be able to torque it back down and sight it in very well. So you want to make sure it's flat all the way down and you're putting forward pressure on that as you are torquing it. Just want to go a little bit on each side until you hear the click of the torque wrench. A little bit more. So that's just an important step. You do not want to miss that. Next thing you're going to want to do, you're going to want to set your eye relief. Setting your eye relief is how far forward or backwards you want the scope. Right, so on this particular scope, I am going to turn the power all the way up to 22. It's going to kind of vary on your scope. Anything I'd say 25 power and less, turn the power all the way up. If it is a higher powered scope, you're going to want to put it to a power you're going to use the most often and then set your eye relief. If you get like a 35 power scope and you turn that thing to 35 power, you're going to have it like this far away from your eye. It's not going to be fun. This particular scope, when set 22, that way all my other powers, which I like to use them all. Some people like to keep their scope on one specific zoom and leave it there. I like to mess with them. So I'm going to put it on the full power, full zoom, and set my eye relief that way. And you don't need to worry about, oh, there we go. There's an example. I am going to have to bring probably each ring in one. So that's one thing you're going to want to kind of check. Let's skip to that. I'm only bringing my back ring in a little bit. I mean, not in a little bit, sorry. Forward one. This one was fine. So then you're going to want to lay your scope in there and set your eye relief. Make sure it's on full zoom. And you're going to want to get on the gun like you're actually going to shoot it, right? So I see a lot of people when I'm trying to set their eye relief, they'll like be way back here like this or way up here, and it's like, no, I need to move the scope to you. You don't need to move the scope to yourself. You know, well, you don't need to move yourself to the scope. Move the scope to you. So get on the gun. Sometimes I like to even close my eyes, like you're gonna shoot the gun. You can then open your eyes and decide if the scope needs to move forward or back. If you see a large ring in the scope, I'm actually gonna grab the camera and see if I can make this happen. If you see a large, oh, go on screen. If you see a black circle in the scope like that, that means you need to move closer, or that one's going to be you need to move a little bit further away. That's what you want to look like, is you want a full picture in the scope. If you move back and see a ring like that, you need to move forward. See how I move forward, how that fills in? That is what you want out of your scope. You want to have a full, nice, comfortable picture out of your scope. So mine, getting the gun like I'm going to shoot it, that's actually about perfect for me. So, move a little bit. So I'm going to leave it right there. I'm going to check everything, make sure the scope's sitting right. As I was saying, you want to make sure it's not touching the bells or your inner part of the scope there. Just want it nice and on the tube. It doesn't have to be perfectly centered. Some people like to put it perfectly centered just for aesthetic reasons. And then you can move on to getting the scope leveled. Okay, whoa. The items you want for leveling your scope? Well, there's actually a couple ways. Some people like to take the turret off the gun by loosening this cap here, throwing the turret on, leveling the scope that way. I like to be a little bit more precise than that, because right then you're going off of, you know, if the turret's lined up with the reticle and all that, it could be a little imperfect. So what I want to do is take a flashlight, string, and a paper clip, make a plumb bob. I'll then just put that plumb bob on my wall, and then I can then take that reticle and line it up perfectly with the straight string, and then I know it's perfectly level. Once again, you're going to want to make sure the gun is perfectly level while you're doing this process. Okay. I'm going to bring you around over here so you can see the wall there. And I'm just going to shine my light right there. And it's hard to see on camera, but you can see the reticle. Turn it down a little bit. Let's go bright. You need a pretty bright flashlight. But you can see the reticle and you can see it's lined up with the string. I need to do a little adjusting. I'm just going to do that off camera because I only have so many hands. And then also, if you notice, my gun is barely off level. I'm going to make sure and fix that before that as well. Once you get it level, you'll then torque down the rings and then double check it. Torquing it down can twist the scope one way or another, so you're going to want to make sure to do it nice and slow, nice and even, and then double check it. Just at the end, shine light through it, make sure everything's levelly in, you'll be good to go. An important thing to remember when you are torquing these screws down is to, one, make sure your torque wrench is set right. It's not torqued to whatever the side was. It's going to be a completely different torque setting. Like in this case, these screws were 30 and this one's 18 inch-pounds. So I double check, make sure my torque wrench is set at 18 inch-pounds. And you want to go in a star pattern. That way it's nice and even. It's just like putting a tire on a car, right? You don't want one side to be way tighter than the other. You want them all to be torqued nice and evenly. So I just want to go through that real quick. It's just an important step a lot of people miss, but it's still very important. So just make sure you're doing that. You'll want to do it on all 4 screws, both sides, and then you're going to want to, like I say, double check with the flashlight and your plumb bob. Make sure everything's squared away. Last but not least, I'll be putting my bubble level on. I am a right-eye dominant, right-handed shooter, so I'm going to be putting my bubble on the left. The reason for that is, when it's over here, that way all I have to do is open this eye or change my focus to this eye, and I can check if my gun's level or not before I shoot. I like the Vortex Pro bubble levels, because they have these little bubble and little small area for them. They're also really easy just to clip on there. You don't really have to worry about torquing these down. Just make sure you're not cranking it once again so you don't hurt anything with the scope tubing. But yeah, so I'll get that on there, and then I have one more surprise to throw on this gun that I'm super excited for. Yeah, well, then we'll get a last look, but it's coming together really well. I'm super excited to go put this thing to the test. Now we got our bubble level installed, and it's time for my one last touch. That last touch is this Spartan bipod. These guys, they make some sweet bipods. This one's the Christensen branded one, but if you don't want to say Christensen, you can get it without that logo as well. So the reason this is super cool is the way it mounts. It's not much of a target bipod, but it's great for hunting because it's still nice, small. It does extend. Oh, it extends this way. It does extend, which is awesome. You can kind of custom set your length there. But the great thing about it is on a lightweight rifle setup like this, I'm able to fold it up, stick it in my pocket, pull it out. The reason is it attaches with magnets there at the bottom. What you do is you take your swivel stud, the one that looks like that, it's on the front out, and you replace it with this little attachment there. That way it snaps in and out real quick and easy. If you snap it in this way, there's no movement side to side, but you can loosen that. You have your full back and forth movement. It tightens up really easy just like that. You can just pull it out of there, turn it around, and now you can twist side to side as well as back to back. So it's super versatile, super easy. The nice thing about it is too, you can use it on multiple guns. So I have the same bipod, I have 3 different guns with that attachment. I can just interchange them. I don't have to buy 3 different bipods. Just take them in and out, and I got them. So, like I say, great for hunting. Keeping it super nice and lightweight. It is a very lightweight bipod. Yeah, let's take a last look at the rifle. Anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video of how to mount a scope. I hope it was helpful for you. Make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps us out. We're trying to grow our channel, and we can't do that without some support from you. Give us some ideas on what you'd like to see. If you'd like us to try a new outdoor sport, try something different, we would like to know. We're trying to get 2 videos out every week. I'm posting Monday evenings. Sometimes it's later in the evening, so it's best to watch it Tuesday. Corey posts Wednesday evenings. So with that said, we'll see you next time on Myth Mountain Outdoors.